and hopefully you guys will learn how to make them. So let's get started. Okay, so the recipe calls for you to preheat your oven at 425 degrees. So while that's heating up, let's get started. Now, the first step is to heat milk, butter, and salt over medium heat until scalding. So that's what we're about to do. So it calls for a cup of milk, a quarter pound or 1 stick of butter, and a pinch of salt. So let's do that. This is going to create the dough portion of this meal. You can really use any salt, it'll work well. About a pinch. So now you're just going to lightly mix this all up until it is scalding hot, and then we will continue. Okay, so while that's mixing, let's go on to see what our next task is. Okay, so our next step, once this is done, is to add flour. Now the recipe calls for a cup of all-purpose flour, so that's what we're going to give it. This looks great. Now when you have flour, you want to make sure that you just pat it down and brush off the top so you don't have too much excess flour in there. Okay. Now you're going to add this flour. Once you have the flour added, it creates more of a dough, like a thick dough paste-like mixture. Dough paste-like mixture. When you're stirring it in the saucepan, eventually it should come out kind of crumbly, and then all in all, it's going to come out more like a dough. So it'll all kind of come together, and you should eventually be able to just kind of get it all together. Let's move this over here. Look at that. Okay, so once you have that done, time to move on to the next step. Okay, so once it's all done, you're going to take the dough-like mixture that we created in the saucepan, and you're going to put it in either a food processor or a very, very good mixer. Now in this case, we don't have a food processor, but we do have an extremely good KitchenAid mixer, so that's what we're going to use. And then we're going to end up adding eggs and other things into it to make it more liquefied, which will work. So now we're going to take this dough-like mixture, we're going to put it in the mixer. See, it just fell off quite nicely. Remember to turn this off too. Okay, so once you have your dough in the mixer, you're gonna add some eggs. Now the recipe calls for 4 extra large eggs. So we just have to make sure that the mixture is thick and the eggs are incorporated into the dish. So, here are our eggs. Would you look at that? We have 4 eggs. Okay. So, what you're going to do is you're going to take the eggs and put them into this bowl. I'm going to make sure that you get all the yolk in there so it turns out quite nice. And if you're really good at cracking eggs, you can do it with one hand, like this. Yep. Make sure that you get no shells into the mixture. And in case you didn't realize, I'm throwing my eggshells into the sink. Oh, no shells. Perfect. So now we're going to take this mixture and we're going to put it on the mixing machine. So now you're going to start this on low to make sure it doesn't get all over the place. And then once this is done mixing, we're going to spoon the mixture into a pastry bag and fill it with a tip so that way it creates sort of a cake bag-like thing. Here's what we're going to fill it up with. Once this is mixed a little bit, you can pick up the pace and mix it a little bit faster. Okay, so now that that's fully mixed, we're going to put it into our cake bag. Now, when you're filling it with the cake bag, you want to make sure that you have the tip that you're going to use at the bottom, and you flip the top over just a little bit, about 1 inch, and then you fill the batter pretty much 75% of the way through the cake bag. So once you have this whole mixture in the cake bag, then you're going to take a cookie sheet, parchment paper, and you're going to squeeze. Okay, so granted my puffs look really, really deformed, but we'll fix them. Now, more or less, you want them to look like this one in particular. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. However, once you have these done, you're going to put them into the oven for about 20 minutes. Now we're going to make the chocolate sauce while these are cooking. So you're going to take your pan, you're going to set it to low heat. Now you're going to add, you can either do baker's chocolate, which is pretty good. They're just chocolate squares and you would have to cut them up yourself, so if you're really into that whole timely chocolate thing, then yeah, use this. But if you want to do something quick and easy and still taste great like me, then you wanted to do these Nestle semi-sweet chocolate chip morsels, and these work great. They're about 12 ounces a package, which is exactly what we need. So that is one way you could do it, which is the way that I chose today. Now, the instructions call for, you're going to place half a cup of heavy cream, which is what we have here, in the saucepan with the chocolate chips to make a chocolate sauce mixture. Just as the chocolate melts, you're going to set it aside and wait for it to put on the Profiteroles. Okay, so while both the chocolate sauce and the profiteroles are cooking, I'm gonna straighten up the kitchen here, so bear with me. Now, when the profiteroles are done in the oven, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take them out and they have to cool completely. The thing with making dough is that it has to be completely cooled when you try to fill it with something, especially because we are going to be filling our profiteroles with whipped cream. Now, the recipe does call for vanilla ice cream, but the vanilla ice cream would obviously melt. So, whipped cream has a better consistency as far as staying intact inside the pastry. So, that is why we are using whipped cream. And the chocolate sauce is done. Now we're just gonna wait until the profiteroles are done in the oven, and then we're gonna let them cool for about 20 minutes to 45 minutes, however long it takes for them to cool. And after that, we're gonna add our Ready Whip, and it's gonna be complete. So, now they turned into a puff, which is exactly what we needed. Now, once they are finished cooling, then we are going to take a little tool, and we're gonna poke a hole inside the profiterole, and that way we can infuse it with whipped cream. That's gonna create the puff to expand a little bit more than it might look right now, and then we're gonna put some chocolate sauce on top. It is gonna be awesome.